Conservative MPs who hyped the potential benefits of Brexit for the fishing industry have been accused of quietly abandoning any mention of the issue after promised gains failed to materialise. The National Federation of Fishermen's Organisations, the NFFO, said on Wednesday that even the most vociferous supporters in the Tory parliamentary party had gone very quiet since the signing of Boris Johnson's deal. It comes after fishing representative bodies accused the Prime Minister of a betrayal and for weaving a tale of woe very far away from the sea of opportunity that some spoke about. Those Conservative MPs that were our most vociferous supporters were very quiet about the implications of the TCA, that's the Trade and Cooperation Agreement with the EU. That's the world that we are having to adjust to, said Barry Dees, chief executive of the NFFO, in a briefing with journalists on Wednesday. And he said, the European Research Group, for example, quite often referred to fishing as a poster child for Brexit, but I don't think any of them came out and said this is a bad deal for fishing. Their eye was on the main prize, which of course was the trade agreement. And remember JRG? JRM, I mean, of course. Mr. Diaz reiterated the widely held industry position the agreement signed with the EU had been a sellout, keeping the situation more or less unchanged until at least 2026. And he said Brussels was quietly confident that it could use future negotiations to prolong the status quo indefinitely. It's really quite hard to convey how sudden the industry's fall from grace was. In December last year, we were the kind of the poster child for Brexit, and we were very much looking forward to a future as an independent coastal state with very, very solid assurances given by the Prime Minister, Lord Frost, and senior members of the Cabinet over control over who fishes in UK waters and escape from the common fisheries policy and quota shares that reflected our new status as an independent coastal state, he said. And he said, and then, from Christmas Eve, really, the government, in an eerie echo of Ted Heath's betrayal, as it's seen in the industry in 1973, where fishing was sacrificed, despite all the assurances and promises. That deal was made in order to secure the broader advantages that would be attached to a trade deal with the EU. The chief executive said fishermen had been dealt a triple blow by Brexit: the expansion of offshore wind turbines and what he referred to as a government enthralled to the conservation lobby. He argued that fishing politics would be toxic for years to come. And Mr. Dees argued that the weak deal struck with the EU had been interpreted by other countries as a sign that the UK would not stand up for fishermen, an approach they were increasingly taking advantage of. The turbulence that has been created has extended to our relations with Norway, he said, describing the country's policy as a quota grab. And he said, seeing that the UK gave in to the EU, Norway is playing quite a dangerous game of hardball on mackerel, at some cost, it has to be said, to their reputation. Boris Johnson almost completely folded on fishing during Brexit talks, ditching many UK red lines that had been in place since the start of talks in order to avoid a no deal. Quota shares were only moderately adjusted to favour UK vessels, and no coastal exclusion zone was established, despite promises to the industry. The limited nature of the trade agreement between the UK and EU compared to membership of the single market and customs union has also had a devastating impact on some British fish exporters, especially those of shellfish. But that we knew before Brexit. A DEFRA spokesperson said, the UK and the EU have agreed an historic fisheries framework agreement that reflects the UK's new status as an independent coastal state and works to protect and promote the rights of fishermen across the UK. The agreement provides for a significant uplift in quota for UK fishermen equal to 25% of the value of the average annual EU catch from UK waters and will be phased in over 5 years, with the majority of this value being transferred in the first year. Now that we have left the common fisheries policies, all vessels, regardless of nationality, may only fish in UK waters if they have a valid license and abide by UK rules. But as we know, keeping promises is not a Tory thing. Using money reasonably isn't either. An Royal Air Force plane dubbed Boris Johnson's Brexit jet after being repainted with a £900,000 Union flag has been flown abroad in its promotional role only once in the past 5 months. When the VIP Voyager Vespina aircraft was repainted in national branding last summer, officials said it would be used to promote the UK around the world while carrying senior royals and ministers on diplomatic and trade missions. But analysis by eye of available flight tracking data suggests the aircraft's only role in promoting the UK since the end of January has been to take part in the fly path over Athens, watched by Prince Charles to mark the bicentenary of Greek independence. When the Trade Secretary Liz Truss landed in Washington earlier this week for trade talks with the US, potentially the government's biggest foreign deal since Brexit, which I don't see coming, she tweeted a picture of herself in front of another Royal Air Force aircraft, painted in military grey. The Voyager's main use has been to refuel Air Force fighter planes patrolling the North Sea, where it has been making sorties every few days and could be seen as recently as Wednesday flying at 16,000 feet off the coast of Lincolnshire during a 5-hour flight. Earlier this month, it joined other Royal Air Force planes on a NATO exercise in Europe. Andy Netherwood, a former military transport pilot and defense commentator, told that the Voyager has been rarely used in its VIP role recently. And he added, the £900,000 livery means it wouldn't be usable on operations requiring an inconspicuous paint scheme. Its usefulness as a troop carrier is also reduced as its economy seats were replaced with fewer business class seats in the front 2 cabins. The government says the coronavirus pandemic has meant the plane's VIP role has been greatly reduced. Media were unable to verify whether 2 flights in January to Athens in Greece and in Gander in Canada were Royal Air Force operations. However, a second jet, a chartered Airbus A321, also emblazoned with a Union flag, leased by the government earlier this year for an undisclosed sum, has been on frequent visits abroad this year, including trips by the Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab to Singapore, Phnom Penh, Hanoi, Brunei, Jakarta and Tel Aviv. Boris Johnson has been criticized for using that plane to fly from London to Newquay to meet other world leaders at the G7 summit. The Scottish National Party, the SNP, has criticized the cost of the RAF plane's repainting as a Tory red, white and blue vanity project and a waste of public money. SNP Deputy Westminster leader Kirsten Oswald said, Boris Johnson has been happy to throw taxpayers' cash at new, unnecessary jets, yachts and Union Jacks paint jobs, whilst imposing austerity cuts on the rest of us. The Liberal Democrats Deputy Leader Daisy Cooper said, Boris Johnson's ability to waste taxpayers' money truly knows no bounds. She said, wasting money on painting planes while refusing to feed hungry children or properly pay hardworking nurses is just another reminder that this failing PM will always put propaganda over people. The Royal Air Force jet Voyager was first repurposed for use by the UK government in 2015 at a cost of £10 million and was used to take David Cameron to the NATO summit in Poland the following year. At the time, ministers defending the expenditure, saying it was cheaper than chartering flights and would save around £775,000 a year, with chartered planes costing an average of £6,700 an hour in the air. On a trip to South Africa in 2018, the then Foreign Secretary Mr. Johnson said the aircraft was not available to him enough and complained about its dull color scheme. Why does it have to be grey? He's reported to have said about its RAF camouflage paint scheme. Last year, it was revealed that the repainting of the aircraft was costing the UK taxpayer the £900,000 that I told you before, a move that was condemned at the time as wasteful by opposition parties. The government says the repainting means the plane can better represent the UK around the world with national branding similar to many other leaders' planes. A government spokeswoman said, "The VIP Voyager is used by the Prime Minister, senior ministers and members of the royal family for long-haul flights. During the global coronavirus pandemic, the number of such flights has been greatly reduced. Since its livery was updated, the VIP Voyager continues to provide its primary military function of air-to-air refueling support operations and training." And yeah, Boris Johnson and the money. I'm quite curious how many videos I have to make about that one as well. And broken promises of Brexit unicorns. I'll see you in my next video. Auf Wiedersehen.